السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله على إحسانه وشكر له على تفضله وامتنانه، ولا إله إلا الله تعظيما لشأنه، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله داعي إلى رضوانه وعلى آله وأصحابه وإخوانه. أما بعد، يا رب عظمت ذنوبي كثرة، فلقد علمت بأن عفوك أعظم، إن كان لا يرجوك إلا محسن، فبمن يلوذ ويستجير المجرم. أدعوك ربي كما أمرت تضرعا، فإذا رددت يدي فمن ذا يرحم. ما لي إليك الوسيلة إلا الرجاء، وجميل عفوك ثم أني مسلم. Ikhwani fillah, we are continuing with our lecture series regarding the history of the Muslims in Spain and Portugal. One of the greatest lessons in our history, and how we civilized Europe and how we removed Europe from the age in the history known as the Dark Ages, and we brought them to the light of civilization. Indeed, it is us Muslims who civilized the Europeans, and more so through Muslim Spain and Portugal, the lands of Andalus. We are continuing our lecture. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala benefit all of us in it. Ikhwani fillah, we mentioned that the Muslims, they conquered Andalus, or the first battle they won in Andalus was in the month of Ramadan, the year 92 of the Hijri calendar. Who are the ones who conquered Andalus? Now, who are the two people who will always forever be known to be the conquerors of Andalus? Tariq ibn Ziyad and Musa ibn Nusayr. Always remember these two names, Tariq ibn Ziyad and Musa ibn Nusayr. These are the two people that are credited by bringing Islam to this land of Portugal and Spain from the year 92 of the Hijri calendar. So the Muslims, Ikhwani fillah, as we mentioned, the first battle they fought was the Battle of Wadi Birbat. This is the month of Ramadan, started on 28th of Ramadan, the year 92 of the Hijri calendar. An army of Muslims of 12,000 versus an army of the Visigoths from Spain of over 100,000. And the Muslims, after an 8-day battle, were victorious, alhamdulillah. Thereafter, Tariq ibn Ziyad, rahimahullah, he says that we have conquered the majority of the army of the Visigoths, of the Spaniards. The land is ripe for us to spread Islam. So he decides to go to the city that's next to the battlefield, and this is the city of Sevilla, or Ishbilia in Arabic. The Spanish, they say Sevilla. So they conquer this city of Sevilla. They all open the gates, these people, and they surrender, and they allow the Muslims to rule them with the condition of them paying a tax known as jizya. 1 gold coin for every man that's able to fight. They have to pay 1 gold coin. So the Muslims conquer this city of Ishbilia. Thereafter, Tariq ibn Ziyad, as we mentioned last night, he conquers another place called Istujja. After Istujja, he sends 3 armies to conquer Cordoba, Granada, and Murcia. He conquers these 3 other cities. And he reaches with his jihad until he conquers the capital city of Andalus at the time, the city of Toledo, which is the city of Tulaytila. Thereafter, Musa ibn Nusayr joins the battle. He enters the land of Andalus with an army of 18,000 soldiers. He lands from Morocco, he lands on Spain. Then he sends his son Abdul Aziz ibn Marwan, Abdul Aziz ibn Musa ibn Nusayr, who conquers the entire of Portugal. So the person who conquered the entire of Portugal is the son of Musa ibn Nusayr. His name is Abdul Aziz. Abdul Aziz ibn Musa ibn Nusayr conquered the entire land of Portugal, and these lands became the lands of Tawheed. And the jihad conquering this land continued from the year 92 until the year 95, Dhul Qa'dah. The Muslims were still conquering these lands of Spain and Portugal. Musa ibn Nusayr, rahimahullah, and Tariq ibn Ziyad, they met in Tulaytila. The Europeans, they claim that Musa ibn Nusayr was jealous of Tariq ibn Ziyad, that Musa ibn Nusayr wanted to harm and punish Tariq ibn Ziyad. But this is all fake news, all this is lies. What Musa ibn Nusayr did not like from Tariq ibn Ziyad was he was rushing to conquer city after city after city, and there was a great danger that the Muslims will not be able to get back up if these people rebel and attack them from behind. So this is not smart, this is not military intelligent for them to conquer cities and cities and not establish order first. So he did not like this from Tariq ibn Ziyad. So these two leaders, they meet in Tulaytila, the capital city of Muslim Spain and Portugal at the time, and they set out, and Ikhwani fillah, they set out towards the north. Listen to the names of the cities they start conquering. They conquered the city of Barcelona. You've all heard of Barcelona. Barcelona was a city from the cities of Islam. They conquer another city called Zaragoza, a city from the city of Islam. They go northwards, towards the northwest, the northeast, and the upper north, and they conquer all these lands of Spain and Portugal, and nothing is left except for a small area in the Basque region known as the Kingdom of Asturias, Mantiqat al-Sakhriya, that is on the upper north of Spain. They were not able to conquer this area because it's mountainous and it's very difficult to fight. Musa ibn Nusayr rahimahullah, he sends a small army to cross the Pyrenees and enters France, and they conquer the south part of France, a place called, I forgot the name, near the French Riviera, Urbana or something like that, and they conquer it. Ikhwani fillah, Muslims had reached up to the south of France. This was a land where people were saying, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. This is a land where people were praying 5 salah. This is a land that had graves of Muslims being born and dying in this area. As he was about to conquer this town or this area of Spain that was left, only one small area, Mantiqat al-Sakhriya, the Basque region of Asturias, he gets a letter all the way from Damascus, from the Khalifa of the Muslims. This is the most powerful empire in the world. We are the empire that destroyed the 2 superpowers at the time. We destroyed the Persians. The Prophet ﷺ had sent a letter to the leader of the Persians, and the leader of the Persians disrespected the letter of the Prophet ﷺ, and he cut the letter of the Prophet ﷺ. Prophet ﷺ made a dua. He said, may Allah tear your kingdom the same way you tore up my letter. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made sure that the kingdom of the Persians will end. This is a kingdom that was there for 3,000, 4,000 millennia, 4,000 years, 4 millennia. It was completely destroyed by the Muslims. The lands of Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, Turkmenistan, all these stands, all of them were taken by the Muslims. The second superpower, the Roman Empire, the Byzantines, that were based in Constantinople, Istanbul at the time, that is known as Istanbul currently, also they lost most of the lands. They lost the lands of Syria, Jordan, Lebanon, Palestine, Egypt, North Africa. They lost all these lands to the Muslims. So the overall superpower in the entire world, without any doubt, was the Khilafah al-Umayyah that was based in Damascus. And the Khalifa of the Muslims at the time was Al-Walid ibn Abdul Malik, rahimahullah. So this Al-Walid ibn Abdul Malik, the overall ruler of the Muslims, the Khalifa, he sends a letter all the way to Andalus. He says, Musa ibn Nusayr and Tariq ibn Ziyad, both of you must come to Damascus immediately, and you must stop all your conquests. You must stop all your battles. Come immediately to Damascus for consultation. What is this letter? Subhanallah. Musa ibn Nusayr, I'm going to leave this land of jihad that I've come to spread the light of Islam. I've come here and I wish a shahada fi sabilillah. I wish to die here as a martyr. I'm going to leave this land. I wanted to use this land as a bedrock or a reason to conquer Constantinople from the west. I wanted to conquer Spain, then France, then Italy, then Yugoslavia, then Romania, then Bulgaria. Then I come from Turkey of Constantinople on the other side. The Muslims are not able to conquer from the east. Let me try from the west. I am going to leave these lands. I am going to leave all these Muslims. He was heartbroken, Musa ibn Nusayr. But he has no choice. Sam'an wa ta'a. The Khalifa has judged us, so I have to go back to Damascus. And it's a journey, ikhwani fillah. There are no planes, there are no trains. It's a journey that will take 3 months at least, or 4 months. So he sets out from Andalus all the way to Damascus. When he is about to arrive Damascus, he hears the news that the Khalifa Al-Walid ibn Abdul Malik is very sad and is very sick. And he is about to die. So he waits for the news, and 3-4 days passes, and the Khalifa Al-Walid ibn Abdul Malik has passed away. Then Musa ibn Nusayr meets the new Khalifa of the Muslims. This is the year 96 of the Hijri calendar or so. He meets the new Khalifa of the Muslims, Sulaiman ibn Abdul Malik. Sulaiman ibn Abdul Malik, please allow me to go back to the lands of jihad. I was the governor of North Africa. I am the one who conquered Spain. Says, no, you have to stay here with me. I agree with my brother's opinion. You are rushing too fast and conquering these lands. And your idea of conquering Constantinople from the west is not a smart idea. If the Muslims were besieged or surrounded, how will we as your fellow Muslims be able to assist you? And that is a distance of 3-4 months. How can we get an army to assist you? So you stay in Damascus with me. So Musa ibn Nusayr and Tariq ibn Ziyad, they remained in Damascus with the Khalifa of the Muslims, the new Khalifa, Sulaiman ibn Abdul Malik. We do not know what happened to this great man Tariq ibn Ziyad from the Barbary tribe after that. He is forgotten in history completely. Some say he died after 5 years or 4 years. We do not know anything about him. Musa ibn Nusayr, he accompanies Sulaiman ibn Abdul Malik in his famous Hajj trip in the year 97 to perform Hajj in Mecca and Medina. And he makes the following dua. He says, Oh Allah, Allahumma, in kunta turid al-hayata li, faruddani ila ard al-jihad, wa abmitni shahidan. Oh Allah, if you want life for me, then return me to the land of Andalus so that I fight over there and I die as a martyr. وإن كنت تريد غير ذلك فأمتني في مدينة رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. And if you want other than that for me, grant me the death in the city of the Prophet Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from us also the same dua. So he wanted either to die in Medina or to die in the land of Europe, the land of jihad, the land of Andalus. So he goes, he performs his Hajj with the Khalifa Sulaiman ibn Abdul Malik. He goes to Mecca, then he goes to Medina. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted his dua. The Sakratul Maut came to him and he died in the city of Medina, and he was buried next to the Sahaba of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and next to Prophet Muhammad and his 2 companions and all the Sahaba that were buried in Baqi'. He was buried in Baqi' rahimahullah. So this ended the period, Ikhwani fillah, that is known as the period of the conquest of Andalus by the Muslims, that began in the year 92 of the Hijri calendar, the month of Ramadan, and it ended in the year 95, the month of Dhul Qa'dah. Almost 3.5 years or 3 years and a few months the Muslims took to conquer this great land of Portugal and Spain, and this became a bastion of Islamic civilization for 800 years plus. Yet few of us know this history, and that is why we're here to teach each other, inshallah, and to remind each other about this glorious history of Muslims in Muslim Spain and Portugal. A history so great that even the Jews, you know the Jews, Israel, they say the greatest period of our history, the golden age of our history, the age where we as Jews had the most prosperity is when we were the Muslims in Muslim Spain and Portugal. This is the golden age of Judaism in Muslim Spain and Portugal. So we want to look at this history. So we have finished the period that's known as the period of the conquest of Andalus, that began in the year 92 of the Hijri calendar, the month of Ramadan, and it ends with the end of the year 95 of the Hijri calendar. So Musa ibn Nusayr has gone back to the Middle East. He has died in the city of Medina. His son becomes the first governor of this land, this new land of Muslim Spain and Portugal, the land of Andalusia, Abdul Aziz ibn Musa ibn Nusayr rahimahullah. He takes his capital city as the city of Ishbilia, Sevilla. But after a few years, 1 year, 2 years, there's a rebellion, rahimahullah, he's killed, he's assassinated. His cousin Ayub ibn Habib takes over, also after a few years, assassinated. He changes the capital city to the great city of Cordoba. So the capital city of Andalus becomes this city that is known as Cordoba, or Cordoba in Arabic. This, Ikhwani fillah, became one of the greatest cities in Islamic history, a city that reached great heights, that it was equal to the city of Baghdad. This city has one of the largest mosques ever built by the Muslims, the Grand Mosque of Cordoba, that is present till to this day. But subhanallah, it was turned from a mosque into a cathedral. Yet you enter that church and that cathedral, you still find La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah written in that church. This is the great city of Cordoba, and this became the new capital city of the Muslims in this early period of Islamic history in Andalus. Ikhwani fillah, thereafter the Muslims started establishing some form of order. Number one, the majority of the people of Spain and Portugal, the people of Andalus, they accepted Islam. إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحِ وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ يَدْخُلُونَ فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ afwaja. You see the people that enter the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal in multitudes. The people loved Islam because this religion of Islam is a religion that abides with the fitrah. We tell you to worship one God, free of partners, free of need. Our God does not die. He was not dead for 3 days and buried in the ground, then resurrected. We do not worship such a God. We do not worship a God who is crucified. We worship a God that's free of food, free of need. When you claim that your God was inside the grave for 3 days, and even more surprisingly, you worship a God that was inside a womb of a woman for 9 months, this is not what we ascribe to. We believe in one God, worship one God, free of partners. You worship Him direct, without any intermediaries. Pray to Him direct. So the people of Andalus loved this deen of Allah Azza wa Jal, and they accepted Islam in multitudes, so much so that the majority population of Spain became Muslim. And the majority of the Muslims were no longer the Arabs, they were no longer the Berbers, they were the people of Andalus, the Andalusians. So the Andalusians and the Arabs and the Berbers, they started intermarrying. Because Muslims everywhere, they intermarry. Even here in Kenya, when the Muslims came here, you find Arabs, they married the local communities from the Bantus, from the Kambas, from the Somalis. There's always intermarriage to bring more stability and more family ties between the Muslims. So the Muslims intermarried. So you get Andalusian mother, Arab father, or opposite, Berber father, Andalusian mother. And you find people that have names Abdan, ending with Alif or Noon, or Waw and Sin. Abdus, Abdan, هذه الأسماء كانت أسماء لأهل أندلس. So people of Andalus accepted Islam and the justice that he brought. And Ikhwani Fillah, they started the first steps of building this great nation of Andalus. Number one, they put the Islamic dinar and the dirham, the Islamic currency. And it's something very important to have your own currency as Muslims that is based on the gold and the silver, not on this paper money that is fluctuates and is controlled by other people. So they put the currency. Number two, they started having their own factories for making their own weapons. Number three, making their own ships. Number four, we need irrigation system, we need canals, we need to build new cities, we need to build markets, we need to have street lighting and so on and so forth. They started establishing order. However, this was still an early period in Spain and Portugal. There were rebellions. Every time there was a rebellion here and there. A Muslim governor is killed here and there. The next Muslim governor, Samh ibn Malik al-Kulani, he decides, I want to spread Islam further. So he enters France again and he conquers the entire of South France. This area that's known as the French Riviera or Septimania, all this became the land of Muslims. These are people spend a lot of money. They go to those holy areas, Ibiza and so on, the French Riviera. They spend millions of dollars. All this area became lands of Muslims. Then he was assassinated. Another of the Muslims came, Ambasa ibn Suhaib, and he conquered Ikhwani Fillah until he reached about 30 kilometers next to Paris. He reached almost 30 kilometers to Paris in a city known as Sens. So Alhamdulillah, Islam became established in this period. This is the period, Ikhwani Fillah, from the year 96 of the Hijri calendar to the year 138 of the Hijri calendar. However, Ikhwani Fillah, there was a lot of instability. Many governors lost their lives in this period. From the year 96 to the year 138 of the Hijri calendar is a history of 42 years. In those 42 years, how many governors ruled this Muslim Spain and Portugal? You're a governor on behalf of the Khalifa. 22 governors ruled this area of Muslim Spain and Portugal. 22 governors. A governor was ruling for 1 year or 2 years. And they lose their lives. Either through the jihad, the wars they are fighting, or they are assassinated, they are betrayed by their fellow Muslims, or because of some racism or tribal issues that we're going to discuss in the forthcoming lectures. Ikhwani Fillah, the Muslims, they spread Islam to all these lands of Spain and Portugal and also the south of France, but they left this one part that they did not conquer. This one part they did not conquer with Tariq ibn Ziyad and Musa ibn Usair became a cancer, and this cancer grew from a very tiny cancer. It grew so much so that the Muslims were thereafter expelled by these kingdoms that formed from this small cancer that was left. Ikhwani Fillah, in the next lecture, we shall look at one of the great Muslims in this time. It's called Abdurrahman al-Ghafiqi. This Abdurrahman al-Ghafiqi, he met the French in one of the famous battles in European history, the battle known as Bilat al-Shuhada. The Europeans, they say, if the Muslims are to be victorious in this battle of Bilat al-Shuhada, we shall be reading the tafsir of the Quran in Oxford University and the universities of Paris and the universities of Frankfurt if the Muslims are victorious in this battle between us and Abdurrahman al-Ghafiqi. What happened between Abdurrahman al-Ghafiqi and the French in the battle that is known as Bilat al-Shuhada? This is what we shall look at in the forthcoming lecture next week on Friday. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.